Dave, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. You able to hear me all right?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me? Can you see me good?
Yeah, I can. How you doing today?
Doing well, man. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm in North Carolina. It's thunderstorming and downpouring all day long.
Oh, goodness, that's never fun. I moved from Michigan, like Midwest, to I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona now. So I got out like the gray and gloom. It's like sunny, 70 degrees every day out here.
Yeah, I love Phoenix, Scottsdale area.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Nice. What's the reason for moving? Just change of scenery or what?
Yeah, change of scenery. Biggest reason. Like it's just so nice out here. And then I don't know, just the destination. I just got married recently, so like me and my wife, we like it a lot out here.
Congrats, dude.
Thank you.
Big step. Yeah. Very cool. I appreciate you taking the time today. I want to tell you a little bit about the role, about myself, and then I'd love to hear a little bit about you. I do have the resume and cover letter pulled up, so I have that. You don't have to necessarily go line by line, but just tell me a little bit about you, and then I have some questions that I'm forced to ask you from like HR.
Yeah.
Like some of those typical HR questions. So we'll get to that. I'll have some questions about the role and how you see that you would fit into this role, and then of course I'll leave time for you to ask me anything about the role, myself, the team, the company, anything like that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
All right. So a little bit about the role. So SDR at Innovalon/Vigilance. So to take a step back a little bit, I work primarily for Vigilance, which is a company that has just recently been acquired by Innovalon. So a little bit about Innovalon, massive healthcare tech conglomerate selling into hospitals, health systems, outpatient facilities, and so forth. Vigilance, very similar, not at the scale that Innovalon was, and selling different products such as pharmacy surveillance, opioid stewardship monitoring, data sets, and so forth. So our main clientele are going to be individual hospitals, enterprise-wide health systems, your typical urgent care type facilities, anywhere where basically you're going to see a patient. We have some sort of solution for those people. And a little bit about our products is we sell software. We sell software. We don't even have to put feet on the ground to install. We can do everything remotely, but basically we will stack on top of their existing electronic medical record provider. And those are like Epic and Cerner and like the huge companies that you're familiar with, probably GE Healthcare. But basically we go in and we sell patient monitoring software. So for example, from the pharmacy side, we will go in and we'll implement our software, and it gives the entire, for example, let's say it's just for the ER. It gives the entire ER a look into every patient that's there, what they're being prescribed. Are they being overprescribed? Are they being underprescribed? What should happen next? So like basically a command center for everything that you can imagine within that pharmacy realm. Right. So the reason why it's an attractive product is because with our software, hospitals are able to say like, oh, are we overprescribing, aka spending too much money on buying pharmaceutical drugs to give to our patients? Are we underprescribing and the patient is not responding correctly to it? So if, as you can imagine, when hospitals lose money, it's like terrible, right? Obviously, the goal of every company is to make money, especially in a hospital sense. It's pretty important. Inversely, if we're not treating our patients to the best of our ability, we're ultimately going to lose money because people are going to be like, oh, wow, I went there, nothing happened, or I was treated poorly. I will never go back to this hospital or health system. I'm going to go, I'll be fine driving 50 miles down the road to go to another hospital only because of my bad experiences with, with this. So it's in their best interest to, stay on top of what they're giving their patients, when they're giving their patients, and again, ultimately saving money and so forth. So that's just one of our products. That's just pharmacy surveillance. So that's kind of what we're in. Again, we have products that look at opioid stewardship, antimicrobial, stewardship, data sets, as I mentioned, all types of different safety platforms that basically give you, a very detailed view about what's going on with each patient. The role itself is basically a traditional SDR role. So this role, we're hiring for two different positions, will basically receive a list of leads, whether that be from marketing or this role prospecting the leads themselves, and make phone calls and try and set meetings up for our RVP sellers. So our RVP sellers are basically our new logo sellers. They're going after new business deals. We have an account management team that basically looks at existing customers and managing their renewals and their upsell / cross-sell opportunities. So this role, either leads by marketing, and that could be like trade shows, webinars, email outreach campaigns, so forth, as well as using ZoomInfo, and we use what's called Definitive Healthcare, which is like a Zoom for the hospital world.
Okay.
So making phone calls, sending emails, getting the leads to a point where you're comfortable handing them off to our RVPs. From there, the RVP's job is to go close a deal. So the compensation package on top of base, there are some on-target earnings. Those get paid out for any type of pipeline that this role generates. So what we mean by that is you're talking to someone, your next step, they're interested, your next step is to hand it off to the RVP. That handoff point is you actually going into our Salesforce environment, creating a sales opportunity for this potential prospect, and attaching the different products that they perhaps may be interested in. So pipeline generation is based off of those products and their dollar amounts. The second piece of the compensation plan is for demos scheduled. So for, same type of thing, create an opportunity. If it gets to the point where the prospect wants a demo from our clinician team, that would be part of the commission plan for this role. And then the last piece is somewhat related as well, and it's based off of our opportunities that this role creates, progressing to a sales stage within our pipeline where we deliver pricing terms to the client. We call that the proposal delivered phase. So like we're creating a proposal, a legal contract, sending it to them to review, and ultimately, the goal is to have them sign and agree to it. So the opportunities that this role creates that make it to that stage also yield a commission payment.
Okay.
Right now we have one SDR rep. She's basically managing the entire United States. She's ready for someone to come in and help. But we did have another girl, and basically we split the United States in half. So this role will be territorized as well. Right now we're looking more for a West Coast or, Mountain Time Zone person to come in and work the West Coast.
Right.
We may actually end up hiring 3 new hires. So we'll have 5 total SDRs, and they report to me, and then I report up to the SVP of growth. So it's a very close-knit sales organization from the Vigilance side. I work with our SDR team, our account management team, our RVP team, and our marketing team pretty closely. There is talk within the next 12 months or so that we will actually get 100% folded into the Inovalon brand. Our sellers will be selling Inovalon products and vice versa, and our SDRs will be prospecting not only for Vigilance type products, but also the Inovalon product suite. So that is up in the air. It'll happen eventually, but we just don't have a specific timeline on that. So let me pause there. I know that was a lot. Let me let you ask any questions that you may have.
Yeah. Really, really great explanation. My only questions would be in terms of like metrics and just kind of how you manage your teams in the past, how you're looking to manage this team. Like, what does that look like productivity wise from an SDR?
Yeah, so good question. So KPIs, the 3 that I mentioned in regards to compensation are going to be the 3 that I'm looking at most because to have a successful SDR team, I need you to make the money. I need you to go out and hit your comp plans because they all lead to downstream sales for our company.
Right.
So as long as you're hitting your goals, I'm a happy camper.
Okay.
There are other KPIs that I have to monitor, such as outbound daily calls, and maybe even weekly calls. I don't know if I'm going to be looking at it more so as daily, weekly, quarterly. But I'll have eyes on for sure. Calls, outbound emails, demo schedules, initiation meetings scheduled. That's just like an introductory type thing, and so forth. Yeah.
Okay.
So
That
is that specific enough? I can go a little bit more specific if necessary.
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of like, say for the other SDR, like how many of those like sales qualified opportunities versus like the qualified demos and maybe proposals that are actually being delivered on, whether it's quarterly, monthly, just like a rough estimate of kind of what that looks like or what success would look like.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So far for the quarter, she set up 12 demos.
Okay.
She's created a little over $500,000 in pipeline. And just to give you some ease there, our products will range anywhere from maybe like 18K, actually probably even 5K, up to like 3.5 million.
Wow.
Depending on who the prospect is, what products they want. Like, I mean, if we're going into an entire health system, that's going to be like a big money type deal. Whereas like, an urgent care place on the corner of, the street down the road, we bill off of, or we price off of how many beds they have.
Okay.
So it really depends on the size of the facility and how many facilities are within the prospective contract and so forth.
That makes sense.
As far as deals making it to S4, there's only been a few so far because this is a new compensation piece as of this year. So she has 4 deals that have hit S4 so far.
Okay, nice. And then in terms of the sales cycle, I'm sure it varies depending on number of beds and things. If it was like a smaller urgent care, how soon do you think like just sales process like ideal could take?
Yeah, so great question. So it really depends on the products in question. So for example, a full pharmacy surveillance suite, despite it being only like a small corner urgent care, that could take anywhere between, on the very, very, the very short term, it could be a 6-month sales cycle.
Okay.
Most likely it'll be anywhere between a 12 and an 18-month sales cycle. However, a product such as our data, which is, I know that's but basically how that works is we have access of patients' health records. Specific information relating to the patient is against the law, but these companies want our patient data. For example, will come to us and say like, hey, I'm looking for at least 2 million women between the ages of 18 and 54 that have reported this, that, and the other within the past year. So we can come through our patient records data, and that sales cycle could be anywhere between like a month or so. It's a good question, but it really depends on the product as well as the potential buyer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
What else you got for me?
I would say like just numbers, metrics wise, that answered a lot of questions in terms of like the outbound flow. I know you mentioned like Zoom info, a lot of like leads for marketing and the definitive healthcare. Like what other softwares is your sales team using for like outbound emails, dials, outreach, anything like that?
Yeah, so primarily we have LinkedIn Sales Navigator too. I forgot to mention that. So we have that. As far as software goes, we don't necessarily use a dialing plan. We traditionally use, Sales Navigator, Definitive Healthcare. As far as in regards to Salesforce, we are using SalesLoft to help track activities. Okay. We previously used the Einstein Capture, which is just awful. So we're looking to get rid of it.
I've used SalesLoft and Salesforce together before.
Yeah, it's a fantastic product. I don't know how they existed without it, but we're implement that. For the most part, the most success that we have is always, and it really depends on the person, such as our current SDR, she's from New York. She loves getting on the phone. She loves talking to people. However, the previous SDR who left has actually got a job as our director now. she was 100% like email, and
Really?
she found success that way. So she was able to reply very quickly. So it's a preference up to the themselves. As long as we're making meaningful interactions and tracking those interactions,
Right.
I would say do whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Okay, sweet. In terms of like internal communication, is it all like on Teams? Are you guys using Slack too?
Unfortunately, it's all on Teams, and I hate Teams. It's
Yeah,
I'll be on like a meeting with the executive team and it restarts, and then I go to join back, and there's two of me in the call. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, we use Teams. We have Yammer for like within the company. For the most part, it's channels. We have actual teams within there, so the whole sales team will be in there. So if you have a question, specific to one person, you can take it there. If not, and it's like more of a, we have those channels.
Okay.
We use Microsoft Suite, so we have Outlook, we have Excel, we have PowerPoint. We use Greenhouse, which is our hiring and Oracle for PTO and pay.
Okay.
So pretty typical for a company of this size. We're working right now out of our own Salesforce environment for the Vigilance brand. Eventually, we'll have to merge those two environments with what Inovalon uses currently. However, that is a massive undertaking. We have to map everything from one system to the next. So that's like an 8-month process, which we're not going to kick off anytime soon, I don't believe.
Okay. And then in terms of like trade shows, conferences, how often do you see like your sales team going to those? Is that more of like the marketing team goes?
Yeah, it's a bit all of the above. So since the acquisition happened, and that was the massive HIMSS conference, which is like the biggest one in the US for healthcare. When we do, and sometimes we'll go to regional shows, sometimes we'll go to national shows. So it's a little bit different. Generally there's about 1 to 2 per quarter, and everyone will go, like all of the sales reps, the account managers, some people from marketing for sure will be there, especially as regards to like surveys and like giveaways,
right?
Traffic. We'll even have people from our clinical and implementation questions get so deep that we have to direct them to more of those types of audit.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think mainly for this role, there may be a couple times where we would need an SDR to a trade show. The only other travel that this role will be in our biannual sales conference or sales kickoffs. For example, we just all went to Nashville at the end of February.
That's cool.
And, met for a few days and so forth. So yeah, not too much travel involved.
Okay, sweet. I guess my last question would just be like promotion timeline and kind of growth to like account executive, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's really kind of a question that's up in the air because I'm not sure how we're going to do it with the acquisition.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it would be like, SDR. If there's an opening at the account executive level, that would be the next logical step, and working with current customers in an upsell, cross-sell, renewal management type opportunity. From there could be a jump to the RVP level, the RVP level. However, now business development directors,
right?
Which doesn't really roll off the tongue, but and those are like, again, our new logo sellers. So that would require a little bit of experience in the field. Happy 100% on board to try and promote from within. So if there's by all means, we would most likely try and usher in someone that we trust and that we know already. As far as the timeline goes, again, that's like the main question that's still up in the air, as I'm not sure what we're going to be approved for Inovalon's side. As the manager for these roles, if I consistently see like overperformance, I will do everything in my to make sure that you are compensated based off of those results, as well as your title reflects the level of output that this person is doing.
Nice. Love to hear that.
Yeah. What else you got for me?
I mean, I would just say last question, like, just in terms of, I believe you've been with him for like half a year or so, like, just from what you maybe learned in that like short, quick amount of time, like, is there any advice you give for someone starting out new, like maybe something you would have done differently or focused on just to get up to speed faster?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit of an outlier because, like, as soon as I joined, my main goal was to completely revamp our Salesforce environment and build it
Right.
from the ground up. So I'm a sales trade. So working in revamping Salesforce, running executive level reporting. So all of my kind of onboarding took a back seat to like immediate projects because the person that held this role before me left in June. And between June and November when I was hired, Salesforce broke like on a daily basis.
What?
So they were like not able to report anything that they wanted. So
Oh,
like I
God.
literally came in and they're like,
Putting
all
out
right, man,
fires.
like here it is. Like let us know when you're done. And like I'm not even done yet. It's been what, 5 months now, 6 months?
Yeah.
And we're still like on the verge of pushing to production environment. But I really, really like this question. So what I would suggest if I could would have been not come in when, there's an absolute on fire going off.
Yeah.
That was a little bit out of my control. But B is like, as someone who's going to be talking about vigilance and product offering on a daily basis, multiple times per day, I would say the onboarding and we call it VGU, which is our training modules. I would say spend extra time
Okay.
trying to understand the product suite, how it works, who fits, and ultimately, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, how it's going to save people money. Because again, they're making a business decision to save themselves, despite what they may tell you. Oh, I'm here for patient safety and yada yada. What that really means is like I'm looking to not, get my what in trouble.
Yeah.
What it is.
That
So
makes sense.
that would be my advice. I would say a second piece is come in and do your best to try and, form relationships with sellers. They are also doing somewhat of what this role would be doing. They are going to be your like best friends almost. You're going to go to them for a lot of the questions that you may have as it relates to strategy and, all of that. So, and we'll obviously include this role in all of our meetings and, deal reviews and so forth. So you'll be able to pick up on the terminology and how we talk about things extremely quickly.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you. That helps a lot.
Of course. Yeah, you bet. All right. We got about 6 minutes. Let me get through these questions. And as I said, these are like questions that I'm being forced to ask you. So there's 3 of them.
Okay.
And they are your typical corporate questions. So get ready. Describe a time when you align your goals with the objective of the organization.
A time when I had to realign my goals with the objectives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I for sure would say in my like most recent role at InstaWork, we had a shift from the qualified demo completed was in the past we only needed like 20 of these staffing shifts to post for it to be qualified demo complete. Well, in 1 month we doubled that, so it went up to 40 shifts needed. So I pretty much had to realign, almost kind of scrape my whole pipeline to really double the size of like the targets I was accounting. And the biggest thing that I did to change that was going through like all of our different Slack channels for whenever we had like deals go to invoicing, close win deals. And I set up my like new filters in Zoom Info, new targeting on LinkedIn Sales Nav to actually kind of like reverse engineer of, okay, if these are the accounts that are closing, let me go on Google Maps, find similar warehouses or similar hotels or universities like within that few mile radius. And then I was actually calling up those companies and saying like, hey, we're actually working with the Hilton down the street. I was talking with this general manager. They were dealing with some turnover in terms of staffing. Wanted to see how you're looking at staffing this upcoming spring. Something along those lines. Using that social proof, and then as well targeting accounts that were bigger, like kind of pushing the enterprise level to where there were going to be multiple locations, so that I knew if one location wasn't going to bring me 40 shifts, I could kind of tie in two different locations like in my region that would still, bring enough volume for it to make sense to even target.
Man, yeah, that's a really good answer. You had to be a little bit flexible in regards to, what's being expected of me is shifting a little bit, so I'm going to have to shift my approach. Yeah. Great answer. Great answer.
Thank you.
Next on this list is describe a time where you had to make a high stakes information.
High stakes decision with limited information was that's probably when I first jumped into sales. First sales job ever. I was a real estate agent, full time, and I had a client where we were like representing them to sell their $1 million home. And it was about 2 weeks before like our first deal was supposed to close. We had a buyer, and we found out like the agent actually ended up calling my clients first and told them like, hey, the deal's gonna be done. Like my client, he never turned in the earnest money deposit. It found mold in the house. Now the lender's saying they do need to sell their home before they can buy yours. And like there was just so much stress on the buyer side that the buyer actually ended up in the hospital. And it was crazy. I had my clients telling me this, and then like an agent above me that he kind of heard it like right when I did. So with that info, pretty much the other agent on my team, he was kind of focused on calming like our clients down, and I literally had to call up every single buyer that had came through, looked at our home, and literally let them know like, hey, we are accepting offers again. A few of them wanted to come back see it. I actually showed it in person, and within 24 hours we had another buyer under contract. But it was just crazy to like kind of be wrapping up the deal thinking it's going to close, and then like find out like, no, we're nowhere near closing. Let me call up everybody that's came through and hopefully find someone to close it. But yeah, it was like a 6-month sales process for that deal.
Man, wow. I bet that is stressful.
Yes.
My wife and I bought a place a couple of years ago, and we looked probably for 8 months. 8 months of looking and putting offers down, getting out bids, so forth, and then finally, like a house that he never even showed us, our realtor ended up finding it on Zillow. Can we go see this? And it turned out it worked out for us somehow. Knock on wood.
Wow.
But yeah, what a stressful environment.
Yeah, real estate is crazy sales cycle and crazy environment.
And then, okay, so I see that you don't necessarily have healthcare, and that's okay. Tell me though, what your experience is making fast-paced, high-volume outbound calls or emails. Is that pretty typical currently?
Yeah, that's definitely typical. Like in the role at InstaWork, I was doing about 75 to 100 outbound touches daily. Like half were personalized emails, the other half were like 50 or so outbound dials, and then sprinkle in some like LinkedIn messages, connections as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, with real estate, like I was using a multi-line dialer. I had my leads, and literally I was doing like some days 200, 300 dials a day, like with the 3-line dialer. So definitely like comfortable with high outbound touches.
Awesome. And then last question from the HR software is just describe what you enjoy doing outside of work.
Yeah, I would say biggest thing I do outside of work is either read or work out. And then like I like being in nature. That was another big reason like the move to Arizona has been so nice, because there's so many places like go hiking and like little like lakes, rivers, like canyons. So between like gym, nature, and reading, like I'm a pretty avid reader. Always got a couple books like right by me. So
nice. I like that, man. You need to get you a mountain bike out there.
Yeah, that'll be coming soon.
My wife and I, we honeymooned in Scottsdale to Sedona for a week, and mountain bike like crazy, dude. It is insane.
Yeah.
I'm envious of you.
Yeah. I haven't been out to Sedona yet, so that'll be like probably this summer for sure.
Yeah, take your wife. Some good restaurants there, some good spas, a lot of good hiking, and like just places you just come around the corner and then your mind. It's so awesome.
Geez.
I know we're at time. Those are the questions thing that I can answer for you. Any questions you may have, me, the role that we talked about so far or not talked about?
Yeah, honestly, you answered everything. Like, explained the role very well, explained vigilance very well. I would really, last question, just be kind of like, what would the next steps be moving forward, and what the rest of the process looks like?
Yeah, so I need to get with Mitchell, who I believe was the talent manager
Yeah.
or talent advisor. Yeah. So I'll get with him. The next steps would be a second round interview with a guy from our financial analyst team, basically just understanding how you would contribute to this role. I don't think that should be an issue for you. Third and fourth round interviews would be one with Jamie Daly, who's my boss. He's the SVP of growth at the Vigilance brand.
Okay.
Basically oversees all sales development. And then the last round interview, I think it may be switched up, would be with Robin Call, who is the SDR director from the Inovalon side, just as kind of like a precaution if we do end up merging with their team, that she just wants to make sure that she fits with it, like this candidate fits within her current, hiring process and how her team operates. So
Okay.
We're looking to hire very quickly, like the background check piece, and all of that. Sometimes depending on where you are, I don't think Phoenix is a problem, but like down in Fulton County in Atlanta, it takes like 6 weeks to get a background check approved. So yeah, we're steering clear of people from Atlanta. We're trying to hire people pretty quickly. I think we're looking at maybe like a late April start date.
Okay.
But that can obviously be changed based off of, how this goes, this approval process, the next round of interviews and so forth.
Okay. Sweet. That sounds good.
All right. By the way, thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any issues there or any questions for me that I can answer, feel free to reach out.
Sweet.
I'm happy to, address any questions, but we will absolutely be in touch soon.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you, Dave. It was a pleasure.
All right. Nice talking to you. Have a great day.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mm.